Wow. Well, podcast starts now.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. I would like to begin this episode with an embarrassing admission.
What is it?
It's that I can never get the... Wait, this is actually the worst way to start a podcast ever.
Love it. Keep going.
Okay, this could be groundbreaking. It's so bad, we're going to have to dig ourselves out of a hole. It's actually such a boring statement that I can't believe I thought was interesting.
Okay, thank you for building it up.
This is going to be huge.
What is it?
Okay.
You're like, I'm hungry.
No, it's even worse. I can't get the Taylor Swift song Antihero out of my head. How boring is that? Can you believe that's what I decided to start the episode with?
It's not even current. It's not even like an earworm that just came out.
2 months ago?
I cannot believe that is how you started it. This is hearkening back to what we were just talking about something that is really salient for you, but for no one else, but still in your mind, you're like, well, it has to be addressed.
Well, I thought it could be an interesting jumping off point because...
You're crying, first of all.
Well, okay, because I don't... No disrespect to any Swifties out there.
Of course.
But I do not stan. I simply don't stan.
Yeah, you're not going to get any disagreement from me there.
Yeah. And, I wish I did. She seems very productive. If I did stan, I would have something to consume yearly, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, almost too often.
Almost too often. It would be a full-time job.
Yeah, exactly.
But this song is stuck in my head.
No, it's true.
And I'm like, do I like it? Like, it's one of the sort of a classic... Do I like it? Even though I know it and I hear it, and I'll find myself being like, well, just listen to it and then it'll be out of your head. But then it's like, well, then I find myself listening to it a bunch.
It is the definition of an earworm. It is made algorithmically, or not algorithmically, what am I saying? It's made...
In a lab?
In a lab, yes, thank you. Not by an algorithm. By a woman.
In STEM, mama.
By a woman in STEM, because what she's making is... files for the computer.
For the computer.
And we'll stream them. We'll download them. Sure. And but no, and I think you're just having a delayed. Well, this is what's tough. And this is your problem, is that I, along with so many other people, had this experience when it came out and you delayed it.
I delayed it.
And I am having a similar, it's like when you are watching a show for the first time that came out, in the 90s or in the 2000s.
Can I tell you this was going to be my shout out today?
I can't believe that.
Was consuming something after its peak. And now it won't be.
Yeah.
So now we're flying by the seat of our pants.
I'm currently doing that. I'm reading a book that everyone, it's a book that even if you literally have never read a book in your life, you saw this book in bookstores in 2015 or whenever it came out. You know that book, The Idiot? It has like a pale pink cover.
Yeah.
Every single person in the world has either read that book, purchased it for someone else, or looked at it at a bookstore. For me to decide that I'm going to read it in 2023 is an act of anti-capitalist resistance, unlike anything certainly Taylor Swift has ever done.
Well, certainly. I mean, this is so interesting because I feel shame with books specifically when I'm like, that's the book everyone read 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I was like in a bookstore and I was like, I need a new book. And
did you finish A Secret History?
Yeah, I loved it.
Oh my God, you like it?
I did.
Oh my God, I'm so glad.
I wasn't sure if I told you or not.
No, you didn't.
I finished it.
Okay, cool.
And loved it. But I was like, okay, so I need a new book. And then I was like, well, I want something kind of fun.
Totally.
And I also want to be part of the conversation, but the conversation 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And I was like, I almost bought Normal People.
Sam, you have to read Normal People.
But I was like, but I can't read it now because everyone will be like, oh, so that means you didn't read it
Have you read any Sally Rooney?
No.
You have to just pick one. Not the latest one, but just pick one of the first two.
Well, don't you think it's embarrassing to, like...
I see what you're saying.
It's
obviously,
an admission
of course,
that you didn't read it the first time.
Yes. But you know what else it is? Here's the thing. Okay, this is actually a big idea.
I'm scared.
There is a sense of... You're speaking as an urban 30-something. But what if instead you were chasing the ideal of the chic mom? A chic mom would read Normal People now. And in fact, if you saw her reading it in an Amtrak, you'd say, go off. You wouldn't say, like, who's that flop over there who, like, has never heard of Sally Rooney? You would be like, good for her.
Yeah, I think that's such a good perspective shift.
It's a perspective shift, yeah.
Yeah, I need to be chic mom.
Why? And wouldn't you rather be chic mom than, no offense, gay podcaster? Like, in the grand scheme of things, isn't that a better position to be in?
That's a much better, monetarily, it's a much better place to be in. You are wealthy if you're a chic mom.
And I really, that's how I felt reading The Idiot in public. Or I was like, yes, sure, a Brooklynite who works at a nonprofit is going to look at me and scoff, okay, with her little tote bag. And not a New Yorker one, a Paris Review one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But guess what? You know who's not going to scoff? My book club. My tennis partner.
Your husband.
My husband.
Your 4-year-old?
No, my husband is going to scoff at me and say, she's in her own little world again.
He's going to say, who gave you that?
Yeah, I'm in a bad marriage. It's emotionally abusive. What do you want? That's why I escape through books.
Who gave you access to reading? Who taught you that?
He's like, she loves her books. She got to do something with her time. Certainly isn't working. And I say, you know what?
I do a lot.
I'm putting in my headphones because guess what? It's an audiobook.
Oh, wow.
And I'm drowning you out.
Sir. So good. Go back to the Yankee Stadium where you're the coach.
And yeah, I'm grateful for the lifestyle you've afforded me, but at what cost?
My husband is the coach of the Yankees.
I wanted to organize flowers.
And I thought it would be perfect. I thought we'd have the perfect home and the perfect house and the perfect kids and the decor. And it's not what I thought it would be.
Yeah, and guess what? We don't have the perfect kids. They suck.
They suck. And I'm having an affair.
With a woman. And you know where I learned that from? Sally Rooney. That's right. I'm bi.
I'm bi. She taught me what it was.
And I'm a socialist.
Before I thought I was a freak, a loser.
I'm against professional sports, and I hate the Yankees.
And I have a gun.
Should we bring in our guest?
Is it time?
I think so.
Okay. Well,
No, I know.
To bring in
it's
a guest
emotional.
This illustrious.
I know. And I almost feel like, sorry, I interrupt you.
Please interrupt me.
No, but it's like, I feel like we're almost doing, what we're doing now is almost like mocking or something. But people need to know that we're being earnest. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're not saying, oh, an illustrious guest, like, and it's just like a random friend of ours.
Right. It's like this person's actually, maybe we need to change the tone.
We need to be more grave. Start again, please.
Okay. This next guest is very illustrious. Please welcome to the podcast, Aparna Nancherla.
Oh my goodness, thank you. I felt it. Honestly, this has been a roller coaster because I already never know what to do when I'm waiting to be brought on. I was like, do I react bigger? Am I overreacting? Because I am delighted by your chit chat, but I felt like I was being a little bit like over eager to be brought in, like sort of like,
Sure.
Oh yes, that's a great point and that's a good quip.
Oh, interesting. You felt you were overacting.
But then I was like, they're not even looking at me. They're in the same room and they have a chemistry
we were looking
already.
at you.
Oh,
To be fair, I wasn't looking at you.
Oh, I was. But you're sort of more... Well, Sam was so mesmerized by me.
But it was also like that thing where you guys were saying all these things that I was like, oh, and here I would have said this, and then I would have said this. And then it's kind of like when you're listening to a podcast and you're like, these are my real friends. And it's like we're all chatting, except I'm alone with the dog outside.
Yeah. Aparna, where do you stand on like being in line with the culture in terms of the timing of the consumption of these things versus being late?
I was just thinking about that, especially when you were saying the chic mom thing, because I was like, oh, obviously she's 5 years behind. She's been raising human lives.
Yeah, she has stuff to do.
Like she's doing the important work. But no, I'm always out of line with the culture. I just finished The Wire during the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Have you watched The Wire?
No.
I haven't either.
It's one of those shows that everyone's like, you have to watch it.
I know.
And it's like, I'm going to be honest. At this point, I don't think I will.
It's great, but it's grim. And it was a little on the nose to watch it during a pandemic.
Right. But do you feel like, broadly speaking, it lived up to the hype?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I
That's
will
what
say,
everyone says.
And even timeline-wise, it isn't like, well, they had to take down the episode where, you know, they made fun of Chinese people. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Do you feel that you are lacking community because you're watching it so late, or do you feel
I think that in that sense, it helped to watch during the pandemic because we were all questioning who our communities really were during that time, and so I was
That's
like,
true.
maybe my community is Baltimore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you also there's a way, it's this specific experience of watching something old where then you're Googling and you find yourself reading like AV Club blogs
Yes.
from like 2009.
Yes.
And you're like, well, this is my community. My community is the commenters of this AV Club blog.
From 2009.
From 2009.
Then you try to track them all down. You try to track them all down.
Yeah. You're like, should we get coffee?
Have your thoughts
You're like, I'm a Trump
shifted?
supporter now.
Yeah.
That's so many people's timelines, I hate to say.
I know.
It's
sad.
It is sad.
RIP our timelines.
So, like, when you consume something, I feel the need to, like, discuss it. Like, I guess I want to say, like, are you, like, at parties being like, well, I'm watching The Wire, and sort of, like, is that throwing that out as bait, or how are you processing it?
I'm the person who sends too many recommendations where I'm like, I just read this article and I'd love to know your thoughts. And then everyone's like, thank you. They just do the little, check mark of the text.
Yeah.
And then they're like, please never contact me again.
A recommendation is so tough. I actually think
Tough.
unless you are sitting down with me,
Yeah.
like literally the only time recommendation has worked is when George was in the bookstore at the same time as me and handed me a book and said, this
Right.
one.
I said, buy this.
And I did, and I read it, and it was the only time recommendation has worked. I actually think a lot of times, maybe because we're so counterculture and alternative, when
Yes.
someone recommends something, I'm like, oh, well, now I'll never consume that. Like, because you told me to, and it's not my decision to do it.
Right. Was that the Secret History?
No, that was
Okay.
the Patricia Lockwood book. What is it called?
What is it called?
No one is talking about this.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. She's a genius.
Yes, she is a genius.
You know what? The book conversation, I'm realizing,
Yeah.
mirrors how I felt about indie music in college,
Totally.
where it was like, I would feel like I couldn't,
Mm.
if it was too pitchfork popular,
hmm
I would be like, oh, well, then I'm not listening to it. And I would be like, because I'm my own person, I'm not just following all the trends. And it's like, you're not your own person, just follow the trends.
Do you know what I felt that way about Disclosure?
Really?
When Disclosure came out and people were like raving about it, and the thing is, I did get over myself and ultimately I was able to enjoy it. But at first I was like, this is like whatever. It's like dancey pop music. Like, why is everyone freaking out? Because they're men?
I mean, kind of.
Kind of, literally.
That is kind
It's
of
like,
it.
oh, it's pop music, but the twist is they're men.
Men featuring girls.
Yeah, men featuring girls. Fuck off. Having said that, now I like them.
Yeah, they're amazing now.
Yeah, but also call me when you've heard of Aluna George because she's a woman.
Well, I haven't.
Yeah, and guess what? It's like, yeah, okay. Well, anyway, so
Wait, I was going to say, I heard something recently about counterculture that kind of blew my mind, where it's like counterculture is actually still pro-culture because your whole stance is still based around what culture is doing.
Exactly. Yes.
And then I was like, oh no.
And do you know what else, Aparna? Not only is it pro culture, it is in fact more pro culture than the people who are mainstream because you are so attached to what is mainstream that you are like defining your life. Because guess what? The person that is like, I don't know, reading an airport novel, it doesn't emotionally connect with that. They just like sort of wanted to do something and they were at an airport and they bought it.
Yeah.
Like they have more of a sense of self than the person that is intentionally trying to be counterculture.
No.
It's sad.
And they're not defined by their consumption habits.
Which is one of the saddest things to realize, like, oh no, we're defined by our consumption habits.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no.
Even still?
It's like, I thought I was like cool.
Right.
And it's like, no, you're cool because you consume stuff that
Totally.
you think is cool and is like societally deemed cool. It's dark.
I just read this article and I won't send you guys the link. Don't worry.
Thank you.
But it was about how popular kids aren't as important as we think they are. That was the headline. And I was like, well, this is clickbait curated particularly for me.
Do they mean popular kids in general throughout history, or like in today's world it has changed where the high school dynamics are
They mean in general, like they're not as big influencers in their like sub communities as we have purported them to be.
Huh.
Like people are as influenced by their, get ready for this, parents and close friends. That one makes sense.
Wow. Huh.
But parents as in like counterculture, where it's like, what are they doing? I'm going to do the opposite.
Right, of course.
Sure. Well, as someone who was on homecoming court, I have to say that I had a lot of influence and a lot of power. And people changed their minds at the drop of a hat. if I told them to.
Wow.
Were you nice, popular kid, or like nice to everyone, sort of general good fellow of the community, or were you kind of erratic and chaotic?
I was nice, popular kid.
Okay.
I was like, go to the parties, but like, doesn't drink beer, and that's like cool.
I'm sort of
Yes.
shocked by this revisionist history. There has been talk of being a victim of bullying on this podcast. There has been talk of being an outsider. To learn now that this entire time you were sort of being like a little Anna Kendrick, where you're like, oh, I'm a scrappy little nobody. Secretly, you're stunning and you're the lead of the play.
No. Well, one, it was a story. It was an arc. I started out being bullied. I was the new kid, and I was bullied. That was like sophomore year. By senior year, I turned it all around. I'm actually like the vision board for a lot of teens right now.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's like a She's All That sort of stitch.
She's All That.
Yeah, and it was nice, and it was a slow and steady build.
Did you have a makeover?
Yeah.
Wait, I'm actually, kind of.
What was the change?
Well, the big change, I think, because I was going from the Midwest to the South, and the big change was that no Hollister, no American Eagle. Like, if you're in the South, all you need is like a polo shirt, and that is sort of where I went. I went in the like more classically preppy direction.
Wow.
And with a skater edge, of course.
Wait, so you felt like Hollister was not preppy?
No, because Hollister was
It was like California.
It was deemed gay because it was California.
Interesting.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was confusing for sure.
I might be I think I am slightly older than you guys, but just slightly by like a month.
Yeah, you're 27, right?
Yeah. 27 tomorrow, actually. But
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I think when I was a teenager, California culture was like the epitome of cool. Like all the shows were like Melrose Place, 90210. Like everything
Totally.
was like, if you grow up and you have beach access, you're doing it right.
Yeah. I mean, like people loved the OC when I was in high school.
Totally. I was just gonna say that. I mean, it is always a tug of war, and we're talking sort of majority white suburban
Yes.
cultures here. It's always a tug of war between preppy and California.
Yeah.
Right?
You're
I
totally
think
right.
so. It's like East Coast, West Coast.
East Coast, West Coast. I guess the only way out of that is being like a punk. Because that was always the other option was like, and punk, I mean, broadly speaking, anything that is at all related to the color black. I'm counting emo, I'm counting punk, I'm counting like goth, like all of that. I understand that if someone were to hear me in those communities, associate all of them with one another, they would absolutely, bite my head off.
Well, not to be a sweeping generalization, but like I would almost put punk in California, the California bucket.
Wow.
I might too, actually. You said it and I wasn't enraged.
Yeah, which I think is a huge win because with your anger.
Yeah, that's so
My
fascinating.
anger's legendary.
To me, I'm thinking of like a crust punk in New York that's like going to underground shows.
Which is real, but in a suburban white space.
Right.
That is more, it reads as Cali.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Confirmed.
Yeah. I had this sort of like very disorienting experience of going to middle school in the Northeast. Preppy was cool. I had polos, whatever. And then when my family moved back to Greece, Abercrombie was on its way out. Like I felt like ashamed to be wearing Abercrombie in school in New Jersey because it was like not cool anymore. Cut to, I am living in Greece. Abercrombie is the literal coolest thing you can own because it means like you travel and you're worldly. It means like you've been to America. So then suddenly I have to get all my clothes out of the trash, all my Abercrombie and Hollister clothes out of the trash, so I can be a runway queen when I go to school and everyone is turning around and looking at me strut.
Wow. If there was a better illustration of culture as a construct.
Truly.
Yeah, truly.
And then, of course, the unthinkable happened. All the American brands started existing in Europe, so it was no longer cool. Now anyone can buy. They are like 5 times the price, but it was like a statement. It was like a real statement piece to have a Gap hoodie.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn, Europeans seem dumb.
Yeah, and guess what? They are.
And that is not a generalization.
No.
Okay.
No.
That's really specific. That's
really
all
specific.
Europeans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're thinking about a global scale.
Well, there is a sense with Europe where it's like, because people have culture, they rely on it too much and they're not motivated to reinvent themselves. Whereas in America, there's no culture. It's literally like a barren wasteland for anything that has any value. So then every time someone is born, they're like, well, I have to create a new kind of shirt.
Yeah.
That's so true. And that feels like why there's trends on TikTok that are like, I eat onions and that's who I am.
Exactly. Because that's all they have. They weren't raised in any kind of heritage or tradition.
Talk about you're defined by what you consume.
Literally.
I mean,
well, that's why it's obvious, but it's like that's why Americans are so consumerist. That's all they have. Damn,
I'm actually learning a lot.
Yeah,
Me too.
It's also like this is why we need religion, but
oh god, here we go.
No, of course.
Hard pivot.
I'm obviously joking, but we do need community spaces,
public libraries,
gathering
so
nooks.
Sally.
Yeah,
yes.
Gathering nooks, hiking groups. I don't know, book clubs,
coffee shops.
Are you guys in a book club?
I wish.
No, it seems hard to keep up with someone's schedule. It seems like
you?
School.
I'm in one, but the reason it works is because it's so loose and like the book club is mostly theoretical. It seems more like just a social group.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you guys read books?
Yes, there's an assigned book every month, and there are people aligned like sort of counterculturally where they're never going to read it.
Right.
But they come to the meetings sometimes and they want to talk about something very specific that's not the book. Yeah.
Is it a group of friends or did you find a designated book club?
It was started by like a comedy person, but then it feels like it sort of grew amorphously into like comedy adjacent people, significant others. And then arbitrarily, some people were not allowed to be in it.
Oh.
Whoa.
Oh.
Like my significant other is not in it, but then someone else's is. So it's kind of like, what's that about?
Did you ask if your significant other can join and they said no?
I guess I didn't ask.
Well, Aparna, it's this kind of victim mentality that like is really not going to get you
this
anywhere.
This is what keeps you off the home.
You gotta step up and ask.
But everyone else was invited in. Do you see what I mean? Like no one else asked people in, and then I was like waiting for his ask to roll in, still waiting.
Okay.
Do you think they think it's your job to ask him?
Oh. Should I put it to the group?
Even honestly, the worst possibility is, I hate to even utter this. Do you think they think he's not a reader?
He works in publishing.
Aparna!
Maybe they're intimidated.
They're intimidated.
I thought you were going to say, do you think he's like, nobody really likes him? That's my fear. No. That's my fear.
No, of course. No. Of course that is I wouldn't even utter. That's like too scary to even contemplate.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's not the case. But okay, if he works in publishing, then that can't be. Because that to me, I was like, that's insulting if they're like, well, he wouldn't want to do something like that, right? He's more of a video game guy.
Yeah, that would hurt. I think what's going on is that they are just worried he'll walk around like he owns the place.
Yeah.
Right. Like he's too close to industry. Like if there was an agent in your movie club, it's like...
Totally.
Oh, totally.
Like he'd be like, I got lunch with this author last week. Their new book is trash.
Yeah.
You know what? I actually, I hate to take their side, but I sort of get it. Like, I'm like, it really is different
It is.
to have a book club and have someone in publishing.
Do you think people in publishing like feel Hollywood about it ever?
I think they feel jaded about it. They're like,
really?
I went into this industry because I love books and reading, and now I never want to look at a book.
No, everyone I know that works in publishing, it's like, it's probably the same way like Hollywood execs feel. It's just like it demystifies this thing that really brought you like joy as a kid. You're reading so many. Also, like you see what sells, and in some ways, it's even worse in publishing than in movies. Like people want to read like celebrity memoirs.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes I'll periodically, just to be self-destructive, look at like top 10 book lists, and it's always like, I think we're bombarded. People are bombarded with the New York Times bestseller, but I think actually the best-selling book is like Chicken Soup for the Young Christian Soul.
Yes, it's that, and it's Colleen Hoover.
Yes. Oh my God, Colleen Hoover pumping them out.
She is legitimately, and I'm not like making some joke, the single most successful author in America currently.
Yeah.
The bestseller list is like 5 of her books.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
She writes these novels. They always have like a female protagonist, and it's like about a relationship, like the husband cheats, or like there's some sort of, I can't remember if they have a mystery element, or there's maybe some violent element.
I think a thriller element, maybe.
There's a thriller element. It's sort of like watered down Gone Girl.
Okay, so it's sort of like our intro.
Yes, sort of like our intro. And they're all called, like, they sort of have a sort of like algorithmic feel where it's like, he came to me, and then the sequel is he left me. It's like it's really like
sure. And then the third one is he returned.
He returned to me.
The return of the he.
The return of the he.
It's like a Lord of the Rings for like
and she's big on TikTok. She's like this. She like is dominating book talk.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't realize
and that's
that.
how she got big.
What? How?
She's a relatable Southern gal. She's actually very charming because I like looked into it because I was like shocked when I found out about her. Very relatable Southern, I think maybe Texan gal. Just sort of like could be your fun cousin. She makes fun of herself. She has a sense of humor.
Oh, okay.
And she just like pumps them out.
Well,
I do wonder when someone is that prolific, I'm like, what is your schedule?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't written a word in 9 months, so I can't imagine how she does it.
Yeah.
Someone told me they once listened to Dan Brown's masterclass, and it literally was like, I wake up at 4 a.m. I write 3 chapters. I do 25 push-ups, and then I write 3 more chapters. I was like,
I know.
Are we both in the same field of creativity? No. You're doing something different and sinister. Yeah.
But
also, what drugs are you on?
Yeah.
That's the open secret, I think, with all these people.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
like
what it is.
Ritalin or whatever.
I always assume, and I'm honestly not even joking, that people that are more productive than I are on drugs.
Yeah. Or I think it's like out of your hand. It's like your genetic makeup. It's like I'm not genetically inclined to be productive.
Totally. God, Aparna, I feel that way so. It was like really drilled into me as a kid. Like George is lazy because my parents were like so high achieving, so academically oriented. It's like a shame that I have as I was born with like an extra ear.
Yeah.
No offense to anyone who
has
a disability. Should we do our first segment?
I think we should do our first segment.
Aparna, our first segment is called Straight Shooters. And in this segment, we test your familiarity with and complicity in straight culture by asking you a series of rapid-fire questions where you have to pick this thing or that thing. And the one rule is you can't ask any follow-up questions about how the game works. Otherwise, we will raise our voices to an alarming degree.
Okay.
Okay. Aparna, the light of the Lord or the flight of the Conchords?
Flight of the Conchords.
Aparna, I'm Terry Gross and this is Fresh Air, or I'm Colin Jost and this is my hair.
I'll go with Terry Gross here.
Oh. Okay, Aparna, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or the lovely ladies of 80 for Brady?
Lovely ladies, please.
Okay, Aparna, the L word or the bell curve?
Oh, dang. I'm gonna go L word.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, Aparna, hand sanitizer or foot fetishizer?
Ooh.
I'll go hand sanitizer.
Okay. Getting sole custody of the kids or getting swole courtesy of Crunch Fitness?
Wow, that was a good one.
I'm gonna say getting swole. Getting swole.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, The Little Mermaid or Big Fish?
Ooh. Oh my God, that's good.
Yeah. Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid.
Oh.
Okay. Getting a taste of your own medicine or having a taste of the salted caramel before ordering because you don't have the backbone to take a single risk?
Getting a taste of your own damn medicine.
So fucking true.
I think that was a smash.
I think that was 998 dubs.
Yeah, we rank everyone on a scale of 0 to 1,000 dubs, and that was 998.
Yeah, that was 998.
Which is an A+.
Whoa, that's the most dubs I've ever thought of at one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, well...
Those final two are really... You don't even want to know how those get there.
Have you guys ever gotten an A+?
In my life?
Mm.
I mean, not to brag, but yeah.
Wow. I think I can remember maybe like on one hand when I've gotten it, and just like the amount that plus does for your whole psyche is, I don't know if it's a bad or a good thing.
That is so funny because, again, I really don't want to overstress my childhood trauma because I love my parents so much. It's not about that.
Drag them.
But it's like, I have such a distinct memory of getting my first B+ and being like, well, I'm going to be kicked out of school. Like, this is not, like, this is, like, the idea of getting a B+ was so outside the realm of what was acceptable.
Yes.
Not to be so about high school. We were literally talking exclusively about high school. Mm-hmm. What was your academic rigor?
What was your GPA?
Let's get to the chase, Mama. What was your GPA?
I think
and don't sugarcoat it.
It was high, but it wasn't like freakish. I think it was 3.87.
Oh,
that's a very good GPA.
That's very tasteful. That's the 998 dubs.
That's the 98. Yeah, totally.
But it was like what you're saying really hits with me, because I went to a very competitive high school, and it felt like 3.87 was barely passing muster. It's
totally.
Like, oh, you woke up today. Congrats.
Yeah. Well, my curse was always like, I was always a good student, but I was always like number 3. Like I was, you know what I mean? And there is a way in which that is more traumatizing than just being like a bad student. Because it was always like, there was my mom. God, my poor mother. My mom one time, and she truly said this in passing. It was not meant to be like a big insult. But at some point she goes, I just want one of my kids to be valedictorian.
Oh,
like,
my.
Remember that so well. And being like, well, it's not me. Because they've already chosen them.
Did she ever get her wish?
Yes, she did. My youngest sister was valedictorian.
Wow.
3rd time's a charm.
Wow. I had the pleasure of going from a good school to a really, really bad school. So when I went to the bad school, everyone thought I was a genius. Like at the good school, I was like middle of the road, completely didn't consider myself like that smart. And then at the bad school, you could not find a smarter person. Yeah. And I was like, look at me. Sometimes you just got to change your location.
Yeah, wow.
Should we get into our topic?
Yeah.
Aparna, tell us what topic you brought today and sort of guide us through what led you to it.
Okay, well, I was going to say, fittingly, we've been talking about the past because my topic is sort of a blast from the past, which is sleepovers specifically from your youth. Sleepovers. And just, I felt like they've brought out a lot of just normativities of straight culture, particularly in that either it would be like, let's call someone's crush who's always an opposite sex, or let me out someone in our group for being slightly out of sync with the rest of us.
That is actually, I didn't think about it like that, where that was like the training grounds for like, be normal. Like that was like, if you are weird even slightly, we will destroy your life.
Yeah.
Can I tell you, I've never told anyone this before. Can I tell you the most humiliating thing maybe that's ever happened to me?
Please.
Okay.
Wow.
So this was, I don't even know what, very, very early elementary school. I went to one of my first sleepovers. This was when we were living in New Jersey. And the following thing happened. So whenever I would pee as a kid, I would pull my pants down completely and then pee. That is how I was taught. Like, that's just like what I did when I went into the bathroom.
And that's what I do. So.
Yeah. And I knew that adult men somehow peed with their pants on. Like I had seen scenes when they go to like a urinal in a movie or something. So I knew that was like a possibility, but I literally had never made the connection that the way they do that is by taking their penis out of the fly. So I was at a sleepover, okay? We were outside because either we were like in nature somehow or we were in the person's backyard or whatever, and all the boys were like, we're going to pee in the bush. And so they all like peed in the bush with their pants on. And I was like, okay, this is my time to pee in the bush. So I just thought if I just peed with my pants on, it will go through the material. And so I legitimately just stood there and peed my pants. And then people saw that it was happening. Of course, I like stopped myself when I realized what was happening. So I just had like not a full pea's worth of pee, but like quite a bit. And then I just had to be like, oh, it's fine. And I just then literally just had soiled pants for the rest of the day.
But did they not like call? Did they notice?
Right.
People notice, but like my memory of it is not of being made fun of. It's just of being uncomfortable because I peed myself.
You got away with
like
it.
It's not like, no, I mean, they certainly, at first they were like, that's weird. What did you do? But then they were like, well, okay, we're going to go play tag.
Wow.
Really
accepting people.
Yeah, very
Yeah, but I was literally like, then like sleeping. Like it was just, I didn't know what to say. Like I didn't know to ask, like, can I like take a shower or can I change? I didn't have, I think I didn't have like a change of, maybe it was like the second day of the sleepover. Like I didn't have a change of clothes.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Yeah. I also remember distinctly when you were at someone else's house, I felt like I had no guide map of how to behave. And like, even if I wanted a glass of water, I was like, I guess I'll have to wait until tomorrow when I'm at my house.
Yeah. Well, there was a sense of like, you could die at any time because you just didn't know the traditions and the customs of this new home.
Oh, it was so intimate. I remember feeling so let in. And also like, talk about feeling like, oh, people do things differently.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Being in a house where people would like pray before eating, I was always like, what?
Whoa.
Yes.
That was crazy.
To see a mother in like a nightgown.
I mean, not to be horny already, but like to see a dad like walking around in his underwear.
Oh my God.
Come on. The horny teens were eaten.
I had immigrant parents, so I wasn't allowed to go on them for a long time because of, I think, these very things where it's like, we don't know what those people are like or what they do behind closed doors. Oh, yeah. But then when we were finally, like, I had an older sibling, and once they were allowed to go, that kind of broke down the door for me. But then I remember I would go, and then my mom would be like, you're always so mean when you come back. I remember her saying that so many times, and I was like, did I turn into a nasty person? What happened to me?
Yeah.
Do you think, were you like feeling more empowered and you were like, or did like the spirit of the competition of a sleepover like inhabit you? Or
I think it was literally that I didn't get enough sleep and I was cranky.
Oh.
Because I was always afraid to go to sleep for the reason you're saying, George, where it's like, you don't know if something's going to, you're going to be victimized.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it was like being thrown to the wolves. Mm-hmm. I loved all my sleepovers, but the going to sleep part was genuinely so scary. Yes. Because you don't know what they're going to do to the first person that falls asleep.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It was always like, whoever falls asleep first, we're going to fuck with.
Well, it's also like just the nature of being a kid is like at any point you could turn the cruelty on. Like at any point you can become a full-on, Marvel villain. Like you're like out for blood.
It was also, but it's, I mean, truly. I feel like the kids, in the same way that I was like popular for being so nice. Like in the same way that I was like the Princess Diana of my high school, I felt like at sleepovers they could feel that I was the sensitive one, and they actually kind of respected it. Like I feel like they would like wrestle each other, and it would always be like, well, Sam's gonna sit over there while we wrestle.
Right. And then
That's
you were
great.
Turned on.
Quite frankly.
They were like, don't bother him. He's turned on.
Yeah, they were just not wrestling me because I had a full erection.
Yeah. They were like, oh, it's cute. We need to do this for Sam. Keep wrestling.
No, I mean, to be fair, the gayest part of sleepovers, of course, is that every single one felt like Call Me By Your Name. It felt like, it was like so deeply intimate. It was, even just as a friend, it was like, wow, we are so close now that like, this is an unbreakable bond.
Yeah.
We have had breakfast together. We brushed our teeth together.
But then, of course, the shock of seeing that same person in school and going back to your normal relationship, especially when sometimes it would be like,
oh yeah,
you'd find yourself in a sleepover with a more popular kid. So for that night, you were equals.
Yeah.
For that night, you had your little inside jokes, and then you would go to school the next day and be like, remember, like, cereal and milk, and then they'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh.
Damn. I mean, that sounds like a very specific experience.
I always remember in a group of girls, there would be like a hierarchy, and one of them would be like allowed to tell the rest of us what to do, and it wouldn't be clear why they got that, benefit, and the rest of us didn't. No, never. I was just there to like fill out the group. Like I would be the person in a movie where I didn't have my character doesn't get a name. There's just like other sleepover girl.
Wow, that is so that's such a
sleepover girl too. That's so sad.
Yeah. I was also like, yeah. I think Sam and I maybe have this in common. Although now that I'm learning about his popular past, I'm questioning it. But what I was gonna say is like, I sort of during high school had like the opposite of main character syndrome, where I was like, do not point the camera at me. I am a supporting character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was like, I'm going to be, well.
But you get the spinoff. You're like, I'm getting the spinoff. I might not be I might be supporting now, but I'm getting the spinoff when this season's over.
I'm fan favorite.
You're fan favorite.
Yes, fan favorite.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's fair.
But I do remember the bossy girl just always being like, and now we're gonna suck each other's fingers, and it's gonna be totally not weird. And then,
what?
and then you're like, how come when you say to do something weird, it's not weird? But then, if like one of us has like green socks, we're like, it's so spazzy or something.
Wow. I mean, Aparna, I have to ask. I don't. So obviously, sleepovers were extremely gendered. That's like almost the whole point of them is to solidify your gender.
Mm-hmm.
So like for the girls, like the guys always were, there was a horny element.
Yeah.
There was a truth or dare that was like horny. There was even the talking, like watching, like seeing you like get HBO late at night. Sure. There was like something about like, we're all going to make each other horny.
Yeah.
Were the girls horny?
Oh, for sure. I feel like girls are already so touchy. So it's just like, let's braid each other's hair. And now we'll do gentle gropes.
Yeah.
Wow, the gentle groping section.
Well, of course. I mean, that's the big secret of being a girl, is that it's actually more horny than being a boy.
That's the big secret.
Right.
And we're breaking the story here.
We're breaking the story here.
Because I feel like it's not even as explicit, It's just like, well, yeah,
it's completely allowed. Yeah, it's like just at a base level, everyone is caressing each other and sort of like kissing each other on the cheeks. Yeah. So then, sure, if you want to take it a little further, like, why not?
Just friends. Who cares?
Yeah, just friends.
Yeah,
like a big old acting class. Just get really comfortable with each other.
Really comfortable.
Did you crave, like you were saying your parents at first didn't let you go. Were you like, did you romanticize the concept of a sleepover? Because it is a very American thing.
Yeah, I thought of it as like where you get like important information that you don't get at school,
Totally.
And like just people being more confessional, it feels like you're let in a way that you're definitely not like in your day-to-day life.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the point about how if you were weird at all, you would get fully tamed quickly. I feel there was one sleepover. This combines horniness and this fact. There was one sleepover where we were like sort of truth or daring, and it was like we were like in 6th grade, and one of the boys was like, "Do you guys ever play with yourself?" And I was like, do you? Like, it was like, how do I was like, what is the right answer here? I honestly have no idea.
Yeah. It seems like either one could result in that's gay.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was quite literally a trap. And it was impossible. And at first I was like, no. And then everyone else was like, well, we do. And I was like, oh, then yes. I don't know.
Oh, God. There's no right answer.
It was cruel. It was just cruel.
Aparna, were you like boy crazy?
I think I was boy crazy in a very like internal way.
Yeah.
Of like, I would never actually broadcast this in any way, but obviously we're going to end up married. Yeah.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't even think I would like, write, the like, Aparna loves Brad in my binder. Like, I was like, nope, I don't want a paper trail.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you ever host the sleepover?
No. I think I always felt like an interloper a little, like I got away with something by being there. Like years later, history will see that Aparna was also there that night.
Yeah, it's in the back of historical photos.
Yeah.
And actually, if you pay close attention, you'll see she was always there.
Well, it goes back to the supporting character that's getting the spinoff. Like, you really are counting on the future. Well, this is actually I think, I'm starting this as though it's such an important point. It's really not. But
Well, this whole episode. I started off with the Taylor Swift thing, so you're fine.
All I'm saying is, like, the difference between popular and unpopular is, like, popular kids are present-oriented. They're like, this is the main part of the movie.
Yes.
Whereas unpopular kids, in order to be able to go on, are future-oriented. They're like, well, I'm going to, like, what you're going through now, I'm going to go through when I'm 25.
Right. And that might have hurt my friendships, just constantly just being like, well, this is act one.
Exactly. I yes. Wait, that's so real. Yeah. I remember legitimately in high school having the self-awareness to be like, I am uninteresting currently. Like, I will be interesting later. But, like, I distinctly remember, like, I would hear other people talking and I'd be like, well, they're not interesting either. But then I'd be like, well, I also have nothing to add. Like, if I did, I would. And I don't. Like, I'm not well-informed enough. I don't have the references. I don't necessarily have ideas that I believe so strongly in. I genuinely remember being like, well, good. That's not what high school is for. That's what college is for.
Right. Do you feel at all like because of social media, like people, I get this sometimes where people like I went to high school with or something will be like, Aparna, it's so cool what you're up to these days. And I'm like, you did not even acknowledge I existed.
Yeah.
Like, how do you even know who I am?
I, to this day, have never not taken a comment like that as an insult.
Yeah.
Like, there's something, like, there is just something sort of like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
I'm the CEO of a bank, but I've definitely seen your stuff on Instagram.
Yeah, you've maybe heard of my bank, Goldman Sachs.
Yeah. I'm Sack Goldman.
I'm Sack Goldman. But isn't that like, that is literally like the fantasy. Like, you're living like the fantasy where it's like the people that didn't pay attention to you now are like seeing your face on the TV screen, lighting it up comedy style.
I know. It reminds me of when on talk shows where it was like the theme is like, I want to confront my high school bully. And then they like bring them out and then they like don't even remember who they are. It's so sad.
That's what it comes down to.
Oh, that's a bummer. Are you in touch with anyone that you like grew up with?
I would say at this point, just like a handful of people. But there are so many people who like still live in the same area I grew up, like never left, still friends with high school friends.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't imagine what I would be like if I stayed.
Where did you grow up?
Outside DC, like suburbs.
Oh, wow. I don't know why my mind went to Texas.
You know what? I was thinking Texas too.
Why? There's nothing about you that screams Texas.
Because you thought I was Colleen Hoover.
But I'm sure, like, what was it? I don't know.
There was something about the way you were describing people where I was like, this is Texas.
This is Texas.
I just kept making the hair look bigger.
Yeah. Like, you look Texan. That's so funny.
I love that you were thinking Texas too. Because I was like, yeah, I was sure.
Well, you never know. When people grow up in DC, I feel similarly with Greta Titelman. It's like, you never expected.
You know what?
Greta Titelman also could be Texas.
No one talks about DC is Texan.
It's Texan because it's so American.
It's so American, and there's like a bigness. There's a wealth.
Yes.
There's a suburban to it that is, yeah.
And an emphasis on tradition. Yeah. And also, I don't know, a sort of like defining itself by not being one of the coasts. I mean, I understand DC is one of the coasts, but defining itself by not being like one of the main cities. It's not like New York or LA or Chicago. Like, it's different.
Yeah. I have trouble like when people are like, what's DC like? I'm like, I don't know. The White House is there, but I can't really, like, personality wise, I have a hard time classifying it. I'm just going to say Texas from now on.
No one will bat an eye. They'll be like, that makes complete sense to me.
Okay. I'm sort of like taking stock of the straightness of it all. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, right now it's still honestly sounding kind of gay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as we've talked about many times, like things that are like, we've obviously done an episode on homoeroticism. Like, something being homoerotic is a straight thing. Otherwise, it would just be homosexual.
Well, and we've talked about this before too, where the sleepovers, they were homoerotic, but only real straight guys were like jerking off with their friends.
Exactly.
Right.
Only real straight guys had the courage to be homoerotic because to them there was no risk involved.
Yeah, it wasn't revealing.
Yeah, whereas to me I was like, well, I'll fall in love.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it felt like a place for straighter people to be like, well, here I can be different, but
Exactly.
then I'll go back to.
And I can do a dry run of intimacy. Like I'll practice intimacy with friends first and then with a lover junior year.
Wait, this is literally what George is saying. Like, this is what your thing was with your friend, is like, you were falling in love. You were falling in love with your friend, and then at school, you were just friends.
Yeah.
And you were like, but we love each other.
Right. Yeah.
That sounds steamy. That sounds like CW material for me.
Well,
CW
we
material.
are married.
Okay, good.
I would have, my parents would let me have mixed gender sleepovers.
What?
Okay, what are they, hippies?
Yeah, they're.
That's how you know Sam was popular. Mixed gender sleepover.
Well, I'm also like, they must have known I was gay. Like,
I am so confused. Your family life is still sort of a mystery to me after all these years. Like, there is something about, it's like, okay, you grew up in the Midwest and the South, feels very traditional, but then you're not religious. Like, you weren't raised with religion.
right.
That adds sort of like a complication to it, I feel. Then it's like, I feel like you guys are very like picture perfect, like white family with nice hair, but your mom owns a gym.
Yeah.
Is she a feminist?
I think she is now.
Yeah.
Was it a Curves?
It's called Mad Dog.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
badass.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's her whole thing.
Really?
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I've like never been more confused.
We'll go when we go to Chicago at some point this summer. We'll go to my parents, and we can take one of my mom's
Oh
classes.
my god, I can't wait.
Incredible.
Okay. Oh, the other thing that's straight about it is, obvious point, but like you are sort of being taken into a family unit. Like it is very based around
yes.
you are the guest star.
Totally.
You are the guest star of a nuclear biological family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never felt like I went to a sleepover and I was just like, this has revolutionized how I think about what family can be.
Totally.
And what true intimacy is.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to queer it once. I think the first sleepover I went to, I packed my suitcase when I got home and tried to move into his house.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because his life was just better. He had like video games, he had like sugar cereals, and I was like, sorry, Mom and Dad, like I'm moving.
I mean, yeah. I feel like for me, so much of it was going to another house and then it being like drilled into my head how foreign my parents were. It's like, I used to think things that are so deeply uncool, like literally having a minivan. I was like, why can't we have one? Like, that's what a real family has. Like, we're a family of 5. Like, why do we have to squeeze into a normal-sized car? Or, like, the idea of having a basement sort of rec room, like, the basement is where it's like, it's sort of a mess, and there are pillows everywhere, and you play video games. It was so out of reach.
Yeah, I feel that as an immigrant kid because I was like, we didn't have video games, we didn't have cable, we had like very limited TV time.
Yeah.
I was just like, everyone else is living a life and I don't know what, I'm in some sort of hostage situation.
I know. No, and you start, and you do start, and then you start being like resentful or like making fun of your own parents in front of other people, being like, oh, she's foreign. Wait,
like,
another thing is that
truly assimilationist.
Yeah. Another thing is like American kids being able to like not being scolded if like, for instance, they stepped on the car seat with their shoes or something. Like I remember being in a minivan characteristically and all the kids literally stepping on the middle seat to get to the back seat and that being completely okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, one more thing.
Yes.
I'm being bad at connecting anything, and I'm literally just throwing random thoughts at the wall. And for that, I apologize both to you two and to the listener.
Mm-mm.
George, did you ever like have a sleepover with someone where you were like, oh, you're gay too? I remember like having like specific sleepovers with like a friend who like I didn't have the words for it. Like I wasn't like, oh, he is gay, but it was such a different vibe. And in retrospect, it was like, yeah, because we were both gay. Like, it was like very gay. Like, we would like dance to Spice Girls, and we would like be silly in like a very different way than with like the straight guys.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, it did turn out that my best friend from New Jersey is also gay now, and we would have sleepovers together, the two of us. I was very close with his mom. He lives in New York now, and I've like met his fiance. Sorry, I was remembering if they had actually gotten married yet. I've met his fiance, and so in that sense, yes. However, what I will say about him and about our relationship, both then and now, never was there in either direction like a longing. It was just like we loved Romeo and Michelle.
Yeah, yeah.
It was not like this. It was not Call Me by Your Name. It was not like we had a secret affair. It was truly like, it was genuinely based around pop culture.
Yeah, so was mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We watched Making the Band 3, which is the one where they did Danity Kane.
Oh, classic.
And we loved Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion. Those were the two big things, which is very sweet, actually.
That is actually really sweet.
I do feel like as a kid, you just need one thing you're both into, and you're like, well, friends for life.
Yeah. Here's a question, and I know we have to log off. What about adult sleepovers?
I feel like whenever I hear the term adult sleepover, it feels like some sort of code for
polyamory.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like when people use the word play and you're like,
yes.
No.
Yeah. I mean, when people refer to like sex as like
no,
like
I'm
looking
gonna
for a
break,
play partner, I'm like, no, hush, hush.
No.
That is nasty.
Although I do think the adult version of a sleepover is the group upstate trip, the group Palm Springs trip.
Bingo.
Yes.
Which is also sort of, I understand that, often our friend groups tend to be more gay, but like, I actually feel like that is a sort of straight thing. It's like each couple has their own room, and then we all get together and make tacos for Taco Tuesday.
Well, it's very couple-based. I do miss actually the sleepover. I remember in college, we all like slept in the living room one night to like try to recreate it. Yeah. And it actually was really fun.
Yeah.
I love like if you go out with a friend and then you just get back too late and they're like, do you just want to crash here? And then you're
my God, I love
that.
I feel like that's like LA has that more than New York does. If I believe. I mean, if I were to imagine.
I think you're right, because it's like you're like, here, I actually have another bed.
Yeah. Everyone has a guest room. Also, everyone's like, you'll like have one too many drinks, so you don't want to drive home.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, well, it's settled. When we visit, we're having a sleepover.
Period.
Please.
Wow.
Well, Aparna, any final thoughts on sleepovers and what makes them straight?
Sleepovers? I guess we didn't even touch on occult activity, because I do feel like it's often where spirits are conjured.
Yes.
And I didn't want to do a podcast without talking about spirits.
No, you're right. And that does make them a little queer.
Yeah, there's a lot of witchcraft. Lies of feathers, tip is a board.
Yeah.
There's actually some movie coming out. I shouldn't do that because it's a time thing. But I don't know. I just saw a trailer for some sleepover-based horror movie, and it looks
that sounds
awful.
familiar. Yeah.
Huh. A24. They're
well, you gotta.
Well, I'll probably see it. The other thing is,
not only will I probably see it, randomly 3 people we know are probably in it.
Oh yeah, and I will own the merch for some reason.
Yeah.
And the one thing we didn't touch on also, just briefly, is like where you sleep in the sleepover. Like, I feel like one of the straighter things is like the hierarchy of real estate.
Yes. Yeah, you're basically practicing for being in a corporate environment, sort of. You're like, well, we have a startup for one night, and someone is a CEO, and someone is a CMO, and someone is, God forbid, the head of HR.
Shout out to my dad.
All right.
Well, then I think we're all set. I think we pretty much covered it.
We really covered it.
Well, I think it might be time for a final segment.
Aparna, our final segment is called Shoutouts, and in this segment we give a shout out to anything that we are enjoying in the homage to the great straight tradition of the radio shoutout. Imagine it's 2001, you're at TRL shouting out to your squad back home, but about anything that you like. Mm-hmm. We will go first.
I can do one.
Yeah, because mine was stolen from our intro, actually.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. You can still do it.
No, I can't do it anymore.
Okay.
Go ahead.
What's up, everybody, at my virtual sleepover? Log into Zoom and put in the password because, honey, we are putting our PJs on and watching Mean Girls. I want to give a shout out to buying a pair of, honestly, kind of fancy sandals for the summer. You know what? This summer, I'm saying no to the ironic Tiva, and I am saying no to just wearing my normal Birkenstock. I'm going to get out there, and I'm going to buy a sort of mid-priced sandal. And guess what else I'm going to do? I'm going to wear it with a suit at a wedding or other kind of event. And I'm going to wear it with a linen pant, potentially, either on a boardwalk or some kind of beach environment. And I'm going to wear it in a business setting. And I'm potentially even going to get a pedicure and have that shine while I wear my fancy sandal. I'm thinking I'm going to go to the camper store and I'm going to buy a sandal and I'm going to wear it from May through approximately October. So if you want to join me in doing that, it's a movement. Get out there, turn off that Zoom camera, and join me at the camper store. Woo!
Wow. So you're saying that you're going to go higher than a Birkenstock? I feel like Birkenstock's like classy. Like, I feel like that's an expensive sandal.
I guess I also thought that.
I mean, of course, I'm not saying it's like...
Yeah, we're just two girls from Texas. We don't know your highfalutin New Jersey.
I'm not saying it's trashy, but it's like, it's not exciting. Everyone has a Birkenstock, myself included.
But the cost, honey.
I'm saying, imagine like a black leather... It has an ankle strap and like a little pattern in the front.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? Like, it is...
Yeah.
It's designer.
I mean, the way I love that you constantly elevate yourself and me and this podcast, and so I celebrate it.
Thank you.
I can't wait to learn from your culture. Okay, wait, I have to think of one, and I will. Okay. What's up, everyone around the globe, coast to coast? I want to give a huge shout out to allergies and the people that have them.
Woo!
I, for a long time, did not have them and thought, well, guess I'm just different. Guess I'm just special. I guess it pays to be me. And recently, I have been hit so freaking hard with allergies, and it's really shocking. It is crazy that you are just allergic to outside, and it's crazy that you are just ill, sort of. But you don't actually have the excuse of being sick, so you can't do nothing. You just like exist. I'm learning about all the new medicines that exist. I'm learning about all the tips and tricks. And I feel like I'm finding community in the people with allergies. And you know what? It may hurt physically, but emotionally, my soul is nourished. And I am among my chosen family, the people with allergies.
Woo! Woo! Oh, okay. And it's me now. Hey, H2OMG, hey, thirst traps, what's up? I just I'm out here and I just summer's coming, or maybe it's already here, who knows? I just want to give a shout out to room temperature water. I'm so tired of just living in an ice normative society where people can't stop loading up the cool cubes into every drink, empty glass or not, and then you're surrounded by friends just chomping them, enamel compromised as far as you can see. And I just love a water, a little warm, sure, I'll take it. You can even call it light tea or clear tea. I'll drink it. I'll drink your water that they accidentally forgot to put ice in. I can't handle a too cold beverage, and I'm tired of being quiet about it. So, woo!
Wow.
That was amazing.
Do you agree?
I do agree.
Interesting.
I mean, when it's like real hot out, a nice glass of ice cold water can be a luxury.
Yeah.
But like mostly cold things, I'm like, I don't need cold.
Interesting.
Like, I actually wish ice cream could be room temperature.
Okay, can I
I don't know.
Can I offer you a panna cotta? Can I offer you a creme brulee?
I just think ice cream should be warmer. I like the consistency. I like the flavor.
Sure.
I just want it to not be so damn cold.
You know what someone told me? Ice cream, like cold things don't taste as sweet, which is why ice cream has even more sugar than you think it does, because when it's warmer, you'll taste how sweet it actually is.
Oh, wow.
And that's why, when you taste warm ice cream, it really does not taste good.
Okay, well, it will.
Oh my God.
We're going to figure it out.
You need like
This
that.
is a summer of warm ice cream.
Yeah,
I'm calling that right this second.
I cannot believe you want ice cream to be warmer.
A lot warmer.
I'm feeling very outnumbered because I really. I'm like,
Not warm,
I'm like,
just
I'm
room
normal.
temp.
I'm
Room
normal.
temp.
room temp. No,
temp.
they'll call it Texas style. Texas style ice cream.
I cannot believe. You know what? If anyone's listening and they're feeling othered, just know that you have an ally in me, and I like the normal temperature of ice cream, which is cold.
Wow.
Normal.
Wow.
Oh my god, I would love an ice cream right now.
Ugh, too cold.
All right.
Wow. Aparna, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for
It was
having
a
me.
pleasure.
Aparna, it was so much fun. Oh my
Love
goodness.
just digging up the past.
Yeah, and we'll see you at the sleepover.
See you at the sleepover.
yes.
But
This
Aparna, don't invite your partner.
Yeah, I cannot talk publishing again.
Don't worry, he probably has to work.
Okay. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.